China's Mars orbiter captures a rare glimpse of the three-eye atlas, the interstellar.
China did not put out a simple update. What they released felt more like a final verdict. There was no dramatic press briefing, no cautionary announcement, no carefully arranged moment of excitement. Instead, they quietly uploaded a collection of FITS files, along with photometric measurements, astrometric coordinates, and streams of time-stamped data that slipped into their national archives, as if they were nothing more than routine records. Yet the scientists who opened those files did not see anything ordinary. What they found was confirmation. Confirmation of the one scenario astronomers throughout the West had long hoped they would never be forced to confront. The timeline matters more than anything else, and this time the timeline is wrong. On July 1, 2025, the Atlas survey in Chile detected the object that would eventually be named Three-Eye Atlas, only the third verified interstellar visitor in all of human history. But from the very moment astronomers calculated its path, something felt strangely out of place. It was not simply fast, it was far too fast. Moving at heliocentric speeds close to 209,000 kilometers per hour, it swept through the solar system on a trajectory that never belonged to our sun. Western observatories threw massive resources into tracking it. Hubble, the James Webb Space Telescope, the Very Large Telescope, and Gemini all synced up to maintain a continuous line of observation. But then, at the exact moment the comet entered the most delicate stage of its evolution, everything suddenly went dark. It was not an accident, it was the schedule. 36 hours, 5 major Western observatories all offline at once. Gyroscopes being realigned, mirrors undergoing cleaning, instruments swapped out, missions reprioritized. Every maintenance cycle seemed to line up with unsettling precision. And in that narrow window, a tiny slit in the fabric of global astronomy, Three-Eye Atlas drifted dangerously close to the glare of the sun. The very moment when a comet reveals its true structure through peak outgassing jet activity, dust-to-gas ratios, coma expansion, and the stress. Fractures that tell us what it really is. A natural comet would have nothing to conceal. An unnatural one would have everything to hide. While the West effectively closed its eyes, China did not. High-altitude observatories in Tibet, Qinghai, and Yunnan stayed fully awake during the blackout window. There were no maintenance shutdowns, no scheduling overlaps, no instrument changes. The night skies over that hemisphere were dark, steady, and perfectly aligned for uninterrupted tracking. And while some of the world's most advanced telescopes were essentially asleep, China was capturing everything continuous: astrometric coordinates, coma, expansion measurements, tail morphology, multi-filter photometry, dust grain size, distributions, and brightness evolution curves. Every frame carried millisecond-level timestamps. Every exposure cooled by sub-zero mountain air, and each FITS file streamed through redundant fiber optic systems into servers in Beijing and Nanjing. And what their instruments recorded was nothing like what Western scientists expected to find once the blackout ended. The coma did not simply grow, it expanded toward the sun. The tail did not just form, it stretched at a pace that felt unnatural. The brightness did not merely fluctuate, it climbed by 0.3 magnitudes in only a few hours. And the dust profile did not subtly shift, it moved decisively toward larger carbon-rich grains, something unheard of for a comet with this kind of chemical history. China did not just fill in the missing observations, they exposed the gap itself. To understand what China uncovered, we first need to understand what a coma actually is. A halo of dust and gas that forms when a comet begins to wake as it nears the sun. But Three-Eye Atlas did not behave like it was waking up. It reacted. It responded. It almost seemed to communicate through particles. Starting in mid-July, both the James Webb Space Telescope and SphereX had already noticed something unusual. A comet dominated by carbon dioxide rather than water. A signature pointing to a thermal history entirely unlike any comet born within our system. Yet during the blackout, when solar radiation peaked, China observed the comet's own echo-like signal. A sudden brightness surge, an expanding wave, a structural reshaping of the dust cloud. This was not random sublimation, it was a pattern. And to catch that pattern, observers needed eyes on it every single minute. China had those eyes. The West did not. When the James Webb Space Telescope and the Very Large Telescope finally came back online, the time series had already been broken. The comet had traveled 1.2 million kilometers a distance, large enough to blur any attempt at reconstructing a high-resolution model. But China's continuous stream of data stitched that missing interval together. as if not a single moment had been lost. And once scientists aligned the coma measurements, the conclusion was straightforward. This interstellar visitor was not acting like a comet simply trying to endure the sun. It was behaving like something actively responding to it. This part of the story may not sound dramatic at first, but it truly is. Every photon China recorded passed through nitrogen-cooled CCD detectors, atmospheric correction pipelines, and redundancy servers, operating in the thin, high-altitude air. Each dataset carried checksum verification and precise metadata alignment cross-calibrated using Gaia DR3 light curve sequences and land alt measurements. All of this happened while Western observatories with mirrors more than 4 times larger captured absolutely nothing. And the outcome of that imbalance was striking. China produced the very first continuous photometric record of an interstellar comet during its peak solar activation. The data revealed a coma stretching toward the sun, photometric brightening, consistent with active jets and dust ratios that simply do not match water-driven sublimation. The nucleus showed a brightness profile inconsistent with earlier size estimates as small as 300 meters, and China's astrometric precision tightened the orbital uncertainty by a factor of 5. This was not just solid astronomy, it was intentional, strategic observation. And through that strategy, China captured the exact moment the West failed to see the moment 3I Atlas exposed its true behavior. By the time Western observatories were operational again, the damage had already been done not to the comet itself but to our understanding of it. A full 36 hours without observations during the perihelion progression of a fast-moving interstellar object is not just a missing section, it is a wound. Without China's logs, the West would have awakened completely blind to the coma's sudden asymmetry. The sunward jet structure, the unexpected brightness surged the dust to gas transformation, and even the subtle shifts in trajectory. But the most troubling detail came next. Once Western models were updated, they still did not align with what a natural comet should do. The missing portion of the light curve left uncertainties far too large to ignore, and every recalculation pointed in the same unsettling direction. Whatever 3I Atlas is, it is not acting like a comet randomly flung from another star. And then came the silence, the kind that grew heavier by the day. Western agencies like NASA, the European Space Agency, and NORLAB offered no meaningful commentary at all. Their quiet became almost deafening, because the one thing they could not openly deny was the very thing China could demonstrate. When China uploaded the blackout period files to the China VO Sky Survey portal, astronomers around the globe accessed them almost instantly. There was no dramatic explanation, no official narrative, just raw data, the most honest form of scientific truth. Within 12 hours, the Minor Planet Center recalculated the object's orbit. American research groups downloaded the full FITS archives, and European teams began running their own photometric analyses. The orbital uncertainty shrank from 25 arcseconds to 5, and the comet's hyperbolic path was confirmed with a level of precision never achieved before. But the most unexpected twist was this: the coma's elongated shape was not random noise. It was directional, intentional, almost as if it were patterned. It looked like a response triggered by sunlight. The echo signal, mentioned in the documentation, was not a metaphor at all. It was literal. 3I Atlas reacted to solar radiation as though it somehow anticipated its arrival. Once Chinese and Western datasets were merged, something almost impossible unfolded. The spectral measurements from SphereX, the brightness profile recorded by Hubble, the coma geometry from China's BVR photometry, the astrometric positions aligned through Gaia DR3, the dust distribution modeled from scattered light, and the constraints on the nucleus size every piece of it fit, together into one smooth, continuous timeline. And that unified timeline revealed the same unsettling picture: a carbon dioxide-dominant comet that should not act like one, a brightness curve that clashes with its expected thermal past, a tail structure that shifted during the blackout window, a nucleus too small to produce the observed coma, naturally a dust-to-gas ratio far outside the norms of our solar system, a hyperbolic trajectory with eerie precision, and an object reacting to solar activation far faster than physics would normally predict. This was not just a stray piece of rock drifting in from another star. It was a phenomenon. And China's discovery confirmed exactly what many had feared from the very beginning. We were not observing a passive interstellar comet. We were tracking an active interstellar object. China's measurements did not claim alien engineering, did not promote conspiracy. and did not speculate wildly. They simply revealed the truth the West tried to look away from. 3I Atlas behaved differently in the hours when only one nation was watching. It brightened at a moment when no other observatory could measure it. Its tail shifted shape exactly when only one hemisphere had a clear view. Its coma expanded in a direction that contradicts every natural model. It reacted to sunlight as if activating, not melting. The data lined up too perfectly to dismiss as coincidence. The fear was never that the comet posed a physical threat. The real fear was the possibility that the comet was intentional, purposeful, coherent. And China's findings only reinforced that idea. This was not simply an interstellar object drifting through space. It was an interstellar event. Whatever 3I Atlas truly is, it seems to know how to hide, and it certainly knows when we are not paying attention. In the end, it was not the telescopes that shook the world. It was not the images, the sudden brightness surges, or the impossible coma expansion. It was the silence. The silence across the West and the data from the East that shattered it. Because China did not merely observe something unusual, they recorded something the rest of the world was never meant to witness. Something that slipped into the blackout window like a whisper, altered its behavior, precisely when no Western observatory had eyes on it, and then emerged afterward, looking nothing like the object we thought we understood. For months, astronomers insisted that 3I Atlas was simply a comet, an icy traveler from another star and nothing more. But comets do not react selectively. They do not shift their coma direction during the exact hours when half the planet cannot see them. They do not brighten on cue. They do not alter their dust signatures only when monitored by a single nation. And they do not mimic activation patterns the moment solar radiation reaches its peak. China's discovery did not create the fear, it confirmed it. It confirmed that the object we welcomed as an innocent interstellar visitor was acting like something aware of when it was being observed. Something that reacted to solar energy not by melting but with precision. Something that reshaped its tail, restructured its coma, and adjusted its brightness. Almost like a mechanism following a sequence of instructions crafted somewhere far beyond our sun. The concern was never that 3I Atlas would collide with Earth. The concern was that it was not passive, not random, not simply drifting through space, that it was doing something and waiting for the right moment to do it. And when that moment finally arrived, the global scientific community was blind except for one nation. China's measurements stitched the missing hours into a single, seamless timeline, and that unbroken curve is perhaps the most disturbing part. Because when you look at it closely, the behavior is not chaotic at all. It is deliberate, structured, almost like a course correction, an activation routine, or a response. Every pattern the West failed to capture, China recorded. Every doubt Western scientists tried to dismiss, China confirmed. And every fear whispered behind closed doors is now at the center of the discussion. If 3I Atlas changes its behavior depending on who is watching, then the unsettling question becomes this: what exactly is watching us back? Because that is the heart of the matter. Not aliens, not fantasy, not a Hollywood script, but something far simpler and far more unnerving. We are studying an object that does not behave like an object at all. It behaves like a system with no obligation to reveal itself. One that used the blackout window to display a different face, a different structure, a different truth. And only one nation happened to witness it. For the first time in modern astronomy, humanity is no longer divided by interpretation but by information itself. One nation holds the missing chapter, and the universe is not waiting for anyone else to catch up. So now, as 3I Atlas continues its silent journey through our solar system, drifting, accelerating, reshaping itself under the light of our sun, we are left with a truth that can no longer be denied. We did not just detect an interstellar object. We detected an interstellar intent. Perhaps passive, perhaps ancient, maybe harmless, or maybe something entirely different. But intent nonetheless. And whatever the real explanation may be, one fact rises above everything else. The universe is paying attention, and it just proved it knows exactly when we are not. If this story has left you questioning what truly entered our solar system, do not look away now. Subscribe so you do not miss what China and now NASA release next. Turn on notifications because the next data drop could reshape everything we believe we understand. And tell us in the comments, do you think 3I Atlas is simply a comet? Or could it be the very first interstellar system humanity has ever seen in motion?